All right, Brian, let's go right into these articles. Yeah.
Yep.
So the first thing we're going to talk about today, I found this on Housing Wire. This is the pending home sales tick up snapping a string of dismal housing market reports. Now, this came out the last week of June. And really what it's that reflection of our sentiment versus our data. The data would say, oh, inventory is up. Sentiment, oh, it's hard to afford a house. There's some data behind that too. But then it's like, okay, well, prices are being chopped in some places. Fact, but also a lot of sentiment. Mortgage applications are down one week and then they're up the next week and mortgage rates are doing this and that. And now we have actual pending home sales that have been pretty weak. Now they ticked up. So do you think this is a fluke, or do you think that we are seeing some of the spring that we were expecting to see?
I think it's spring is starting to spring, and the reason being is because I feel now that the Fed spoke last week, they were able to actually give us more information and more sentiment as what direction they were going to move. And based on everything we've been seeing, everything's pointing at rate drops this upcoming meeting. What that means is that I feel a lot more people are anticipating that. Therefore, a lot more people are going to start selling their houses or putting their houses up in the market to, get ahead of the curve, to be able to snag that deal that's coming up, or just get in the market, because once rates drop, I mean, we're going to see a huge influx. Literally, I'm actually looking forward to seeing this report next month once that report comes out and we're able to see, what that looks like. So I think it's here to stay, Andy. I think we could clearly say summer is going to be starting these next couple of weeks in the real estate market. So I'm excited to see how things play out.
And I think it's important to note too, like it's not like we're talking about this dramatic peak in increase of pending sales. And it wasn't like this dramatic drop in the amount of pending sales. It was kind of like a neutral line with some bumps. So if you think about like speed bumps in a parking lot, it's kind of like that. It's like there's some dips in little areas of parking lot. Parking lot's flat here, and then there's some like little bumps, speed bumps, right? That's kind of like how the chart looks. And
kind of like how I drive. You get one speed bump, you go really fast, and then you have another speed bump.
Fortunately for us, we get this data month by month, Brian. I'm inclined to think that temporarily it's temporary. And the reason is because of what you mentioned already. I think it's the Fed. I think it has to do with our sentiment and our behavior towards what interest rates are doing in the market at large with finance, not just mortgage. Now, mortgage real estate, of course, is a huge piece of the economy. And when it comes to affordability connected to mortgage-backed securities, which means interest rates, everyone would love to see interest rates go down. That would actually be the best case scenario for the amount of inventory that's hit the market now, is if rates came back into some affordable place where people have been sitting on the sidelines because of the rate being high. So if we see a little bit of a softening of mortgage rates, that demand increase can match the inventory increase, which then naturally spills into there being more pending home sales. So I'm hoping that this is actually an indicator and a preview of what might be to come when we look at June's data when it's done, July's data, and August's data. I think that this trend is going to continue, and I don't think it's just a blip in the radar.
No, I think that strong monthly growth shows a sign of stabilization, and I'm confident that we will see a lot more transactions as we progress.
One of the things I know that I've been when I have conversations with people, and I talk to you guys on the sales side, but I talk to family and friends, and I talk to my other people I know in business, and I think that the sentiment has changed a lot on the behavior of the consumer, where people are saying, you know what, I am not going to wait for a 10% correction or a 15% correction, whatever level of correction you've been hearing. I think people are just sick and tired of it.
Yeah.
I think they're like, you know what? God dang it. If I'm going to have to do it, I better do it now. Kind of that now or never attitude. I'm just starting to see a lot more of that.
Yeah, I would agree. And the reason is because just in general, I feel like eventually over time, when you want to do something, you keep telling it to yourself, and you get over whatever the obstacle is. You're like, all right, it's been in my head for so long. I do want it. Now I'm going to have to just, accept the terms that are out there. And can I do it? Yes. Do I want to do it? Probably not, because of the affordability and what that changes in your life. But I think the want is overweighing, the situations in your life where you're like, you know what, I am going to take a hack at it, and I am going to get myself into a house, and I'll play it out how it should be played out, and I'll adjust as things come.
Yeah, and so something to also consider, and this might be a little bit more on the nerdy side of the topic, but remember that one pending sale begets another in most cases. So if I have sold my house or I have my house listed for sale and it goes into pending status, I am now going to become a buyer in another sale that's going to go into pending status. And so if this number moves a lot more slowly than some of the other ones because they're a reflection of market activity that's actually underway. And the exceptions to the rule are when there's a sale because there was a death and there's no one else living in the house anymore, or in the case of like an elderly parent where they need to go into some sort of assisted living. Well, they're selling the house, but then the person isn't going to into a new transaction. They're going to a home or something like that. Yeah. Those are kind of more of the exceptions. I know it's only 2 examples of a lot of possible examples. I'm only bringing those 2 up because typically what's going to happen is when you see pending sales like this, it's a pending sale to another pending sale to another pending sale to another pending sale. And yeah, you'll have situations sprinkled in there where one of those in the chain of pending sales is going to a retirement home or an assisted living home, or it's because there was a death and then the house is getting sold as part of the sell off of the assets in the trust or whatever. But otherwise, what you should kind of expect, I would say, is like slow and steady wins the race when it comes to pending sales.
Yeah, I think another opinion would be that, for the strong approved buyers right now that are, coasting, don't really have that pressure to purchase a house. As rates drop, a lot more people are going to enter the market. And, as you're searching for houses, shopping for houses, from seeing 2 to 3 parties, you'll start seeing 5 to 6 and plus, which then means the offers that you aggressively were going to submit now maybe have to get tapered down a bit and be a little bit more on the competitive side because you might not be the only one, competing for that property. Therefore, you have to stand out.
Well, I think mathematically speaking right now, the pending sale, let's just say there's one pending sale on your street. Well, that's a house you can't go buy now.
Yeah.
So if you're approved and you're looking to buy a house, and well, that's now one less than the inventory. The good news is on the other side of that coin, there's a lot more homes now this year than there were last year. So you still have plenty of selection available. I know that's situational based on your zip code and all that kind of stuff, but just hang with me in theory here. The idea is that if there's a pending sale that goes into closing, that the house is not available to you, but because there's fewer buyers now than there would be assumed to be, and you also have more inventory, you still should have a lot of selection going into the summer season, which then begs the question, like, is it the time for people who've been waiting to take action? And you brought this up by text today, and it's kind of our second topic moving on from this one is, okay, well, pending sales is an indication that people are getting qualified for mortgages. So